So I got the little Bertone home. It just having a little problem with it. So the engine is the late model engine, the fuel injected one, and when I start it, it just spits a really huge oil smoke out. And the interesting part is that when it was sitting for a while, it was not smoking, and then I added a little gas and it started to smoke again. And it's just like an extensive smoke what's coming out in the end, and then the oil is dripping from the exhaust. So I'm kind of thinking maybe it needs the valve job. And I measured compression looks fine. So I'm kind of thinking it's not the rings, so most likely I gotta have the head come off. Well, let's start it, see what happens. Starts right up. And now it's not smoking. Very odd. But add a little gas to it. And now I started again. As soon as I add a little gas, it starts smoking. Well, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wash it off and see what happens. We go from here. Now it warmed up so you can see how much it's smoking. And now it's dying. So yeah, this is wouldn't have passed the smoke check in Las Vegas for sure. Can't see the car from it. Woo! Looks like tire smoke. So yesterday I went to the car parts store, bought the seafoam and the Marvel Mystery Oil. So I put a can of seafoam in the tank, another can into the oil compartment. I put some Marvel Mystery Oil into the oil compartment with the engine oil. And now I started up this morning and absolutely pretty much zero smoke coming out. It runs for like 45 minutes now. So this tells me that most likely the valve seals are okay, but the oil ring probably stuck and was not working properly. But I still kind of scared to add gas to it, so it's just idling away here. I really like to hear what you guys thinking. Should I let it keep running or what to do with it? So should I take it apart? Would that be the head valve seal, or that would be the oil ring? Leave me a message, thanks. So the little Bertone stopped smoking. So I was running for 2 hours and there was no more smoke. So I let the oil down, put a new filter on it, put new oil in it. And when I was messing around here, I noticed that there was that rubber hose what connects the airflow meter to the intake, and it was full of oil. And then also there is a hose coming down from the bottom, and there was like spraying oil out from there. So I'm gonna just bypass that whole thing and let the oil come out at the bottom, and then try to drive it, see if the rings would free up. And if they don't, then I'm gonna have to change the piston rings. Most likely it was serious blow by. But I'm hoping that Marvel Mystery Oil and then the seafoam will do its magic, and then just after driving a little while it will fix itself. So I'm trying to figure out where is that oil coming from. I have a feeling that it's coming out from the crankcase, and a crankcase ventilation system most likely is failing. I'm not sure why, so just trying to isolate the problem. So I found a crankcase exit, like a hole. If you look down here, right there is a hole. See that big round piece? That's where the this hose went on, what went into the intake, and then consequently probably the oil went into the engine, and that's why it was smoking like hell. So what I'm trying to do is isolate it. So I'm gonna put this one on and let it come out at the bottom of the car and see if it's actually leaking oil out from there, and will it actually smoke if I do this or not. I have a feeling that some sort of crankcase ventilation is not working on it. Also, I figured it out that there is 2 oil pressure sending unit on this car. You know, I never had a car like this, so I had to call my friend in Italy and ask him how the hell this works. So apparently there's a gauge and there's a light underneath. So I found a wire that was just hanging out in the engine compartment, and that's for the light, because the light came on when I grounded it. And then they just screwed in that little cone-shaped looking thing what always breaks and costs about $130 or something like that. And it screws into a sort of an adapter, and then the adapter has both of them on, a big one and a small one. The small one I was able to find. It was only like $15 at O'Reilly's, but the other one is like $130 and who knows what. So I think online I can find them for $75 last time I checked. So I'm gonna buy one of those, and I'm gonna buy the adapter because on this engine they just screwed the big one in and they forgot about the light. So I want to have both. I want to have the way it was. So right now I'm gonna put this thing back together. I ordered an air filter because it got so wet that even the airflow meter and all the way through it was all wet. So even the air filter was wet. So I ordered a new one. We'll change that when it comes, and I'm just gonna put this together the way it is right now and see if it leaks, see if it runs, see if it still smokes when I add gas to it. Now that it's not smoking like hell, I was trying to make brakes on it. So I did it for a spin, and the brakes weren't all that good. So I took off the caliper, and the way the caliper comes off is there's two little pins come out here, two little pins come out here. This piece here, that's actually comes out, and the bottom also as well, it comes out, and the whole thing able to flip out, and then I can get to the brake pads. And I was trying to move the pistons, so I was thinking maybe the pistons froze up, so I was trying to move it in and out. So my daughter was pushing the pedals, and they're just not coming out. That piston was not moving too much, just moved a little bit and not much. So it was not frozen. We put it back together, and still when she steps on the brake, it was not doing its job. It's barely, I still was able to move it with my hand. I felt there's something happening, but so that most likely means that it's full of air. So I was looking at it. The master cylinder is hidden underneath the dash here. It's way up there behind that black cover. So, but it looks fairly decent from the outside. It might have been changed not too long ago. So, or maybe just because it's inside, I don't know. But when I came to the front, I found there was no oil in the reservoir, or very little. And then these cracks, look at these cracks in it. So it probably cracked. So it was breathing air. So what I'm gonna have to do is to take it off, cut the original original clamps off, and I'm gonna try to glue it, and eventually I'm gonna find another one. Yeah, I glued it together, all these cracks, but I found someone who has a junkyard and has a couple of these Bertones at his place, so I just ordered one from him, and that would work better, I guess. So I called 3 junkyards, and every 3 junkyards were telling me that their master cylinder reservoir was cracked and brittle and broke, so I just glued this together. It's only had 2 cracks on it. I have a friend in Italy, hopefully I can find one through him. So meanwhile, I put this one back, filled it up. It's actually up a little bit where it normally sits to get a little bit more leverage. And I put this pressure bleeding system, what I got for my Mercedes-Benz. It's actually the same size on the end. So I just put this on, and I started with the furthest point from the master cylinder. It's a right rear wheel. So I already have it hooked up and opened, and slowly the old fluid is coming out, and it looks like it's a little dirty, so it's a good thing that I'm changing it anyway. So the bleeding was successful. We reinstalled that tank, and the engineers, I guess, ran into the same problem, or they were thinking about these idiots who are going to work on this car like me, and they put 2 holes there with hoses which will take the fluid and make it go under the car. That's why this pan is there. But when I was working here, I looked at the clutch reservoir, and looks like espresso from Italy, same size too. So I decided to change that fluid. So the way it works is that it goes down to the master cylinder, which also right next to the engine, the steering column inside the car. And then it comes to the back here, and it goes down here to the slave cylinder, which is right there. And you can see the slave cylinder bleeding screw. And it looks like somebody changed it recently, so it should be fine. But we're gonna bleed it out until the new fluid comes out in the back. I had to remove the air filter to access it easier. So originally the steering wheel was covered with some really nice leather, and then the last owner put another extra leather on it, which we removed, and that's what we see. And so it looks like If you remove that burnt leather what the factory put on, there's a nice plastic steering wheel underneath. It looks pretty decent. So I think that's what we're gonna do. And then maybe eventually we'll find another one or have it recovered. But for now, it's gonna look great if you just clean this up and take the old leather off. Since you're working with brake fluid, I wanted to tell you that it's not a good thing if it gets on your paint job. It may just gonna destroy it. So if it gets on it, you might use rubbing alcohol, but actually the best one I found, it was a denatured alcohol, what would neutralize it and you can clean it off. The other thing is that brake fluid attracts moisture, so always use a sealed new container, just like this one, or that one used to be. And that's what you should put in your brake system. Otherwise, if you put it away and store it, it will attract moisture. Moisture will go into the system and start rotting all your metal parts from the inside out. There was so much dirt in the system that actually it didn't want it to come through the little hole what this bleeder screw has. So I had to take it out and then keep playing with it. And then finally all the cappuccino came out and now it's actually clear fluid coming out. So I think I can put that back in. So what we did is when she was pushing on the brake, I had the rag there. So I didn't push it, just had the rag there. And then the stuff came out. Then I pushed it in and then she pulled the pedal up so the pedal would come back. And then it sucked the new fluid in from the reservoir. And then we did it again. I let it go and then it came out and then I plugged it up and then she let the pedal up and so on. So now it's finally clean so I can put the bleeder screw back in. Unfortunately, one of these little pieces broke off. I'm gonna take it inside the house and glue it. It's kind of warmer in there. And then I put everything back together in the car. I put the air filter back in and everything is back on. Put the battery back in, battery cover. The fluid in the clutch master cylinder and the brake master cylinder looks fantastic, so now it looks new. And then I was able to pressurize the brake master cylinder, so my gluing actually worked so far. I wanted to show you guys this piece. If you have a car like this, can be pretty bad. So I got 3 screws what goes through there. One I broke off, and there is a third one, and the third one is actually from underneath. So don't try to take this off. Let's take this one off first. It feels like a little bolt what goes on it, and then the rest are 3 screws. So this looks like it's intact on the other side. So if you have to take off this side, make sure there's 1 screw right there. So I'm waiting for my insurance papers to come back and then I can go get a local plate for it. So that's it for now from this little car.